I want to thank Tim and Joanne for more than just hosting this kickoff for Jess. Both of them have been active for decades in Pasadena for good government, serving on commissions, just the essence of what it means to be a good citizen in Pasadena. So thank you for setting that example. And so many of you have served in so many different roles. And now we can celebrate. We have someone like Jess Rivas on our city council. That is worth celebrating. I want you to know three things about Jess. Some of you may know the first one. She is absolutely fearless. The reality is that in public life, especially at the local level, you meet people in the grocery store, you meet people in the park, you meet people on the street, and they have opinions. And it is up close and personal. And people often are operating on limited information. And it's not that Jess is not prepared to represent everyone. It is that political calculation is not her guiding star. It's what's best for everyone. And that's so rare in public life today. Someone genuinely fearless about doing what's right no matter what. And I've seen that across the dais from Jess. And what you don't see, which is in the back room in closed sessions, when we're talking about things where the stakes are really high, like should we sue the federal government for imposing absolutely unacceptable provisions on the grants that we accept from the federal government. And her legal training and her courage and her vision and the clarity of that vision is what demonstrates just how fearless Jess is. And we are suing the federal government. And so far we've won. We'll see how we get to the Supreme Court, which seems to be in the hands of the regime. So the second thing I think you need to know about Jess, and again, it's easy to miss because unlike a lot of more flamboyant public officials, Jess embodies thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness both personally in how she treats everyone, her constituents, the unhoused, and the folks at City Hall, and the folks who are unhappy with her over whatever reason. She's always treating them with thoughtfulness. But I'm talking about a different kind of thoughtfulness. She thinks deeply about doing the right thing. She asks, what's the best approach? She does her homework. She really takes seriously the decisions that we make on the city council. And that gives her a quiet influence as vice mayor that is really valuable for everything we believe in. She was the only council member to support Measure H. Now two of us who also supported Measure H have joined her on the city council. But she stood alone because she knew that while Measure H is not perfect, if it had been defeated, we would not have tenant protections for 20 years because people will say, oh, it was on the ballot, it lost. We don't need to worry about that anymore. And it was the inaction of the city council that caused that measure to ultimately be passed. And when the Gaza issue, so emotional, 1,000 people on both sides, and most of the council, for a variety of reasons, did not want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And again, her thoughtfulness, her quiet leadership ended up completely changing the tenor in that room. And the Pasadena City Council going on record unanimously for a ceasefire in the Middle East, one of the first cities in California to do so. And when Pasadena 100 was pushing for 100% carbon-free energy by the year 2030, some of her colleagues, not Mr. Madison, some of her colleagues were pushing for something called carbon neutrality, which sounds good. It means planting bogus trees in Siberia and pretending that that is going to end the slide toward catastrophe. And it was, again, Jess's quiet, influential leadership that led to a unanimous vote for 100% carbon-free energy in Pasadena by 2030. Thank you, Jess. But the most important thing I think we need to recognize about Jess is the future. You know, the reality is that for the last several decades, a cohort of well-intentioned, good people have run this city. And they've done their very best to run this city. But they have not realized how much this city has changed. When I was growing up, it was 60% homeowner. Now it's 60% renter. We have so many young people who will never have the opportunity to own a home. And waking up to that reality and challenging the way we've always done things has been what Jess has been about from day one. That is the future. We have to bet on Jess, a working parent, a person who believes that government should work for everyone, not just the privileged, not just the ones in the in crowd, not just the ones who've put in their time serving on commissions for years and years, but all of the folks out there who we don't hear from, but who deserve to be represented, who deserve to be fought for, who deserve rights, and who deserve not to be snatched by armed, masked men in unmarked cars from the streets of our community. And so I'll conclude with this. We are incredibly fortunate in Pasadena to have leadership of the potential and the caliber of Sasha Renee Perez and Jess Rivas. These are two of the most outstanding future leaders, not just of our community, but of our state and ultimately of our country. These are dark times in our country. We literally are staring into the abyss of the end of our democracy, even as we celebrate 250 years of independence and moving toward a more perfect union. We need people like Sasha and Jess in office to stand up for the people who are not being stood up for by the people who are trying to stamp on their necks and their throats. We have tremendous champions in folks like Sasha and Jess. I'm so proud to serve with our vice mayor. I'm so proud that we have as our state senator Sasha Renee Perez. And I'm so proud of you for coming here to support her for another 4 years in which we're going to make Pasadena a city that works for everyone.